Every day, many people continue to spend money to project an image of wealth, trapped in an illusion that can ultimately destroy them financially. Here we are living in a world where people drop thousands on designer bags and luxury fits, but then turn around and say they can never afford a house. So what happened? Did homes just skyrocket out of reach? Or maybe settling down with a family and building a stable life just stopped being the goal? Or perhaps the marketing geniuses rewired our minds to believe real wealth is all about what we wear and flex, not what we actually own. But here's the thing. This isn't really about being broke. It's about a sneaky four-step system quietly trapping millions of Gen Z in what we call luxury poverty. And to understand how we got here, we need to start with the real reason we buy stuff in the first place. We don't just buy things because we need them anymore. Sure, Gen Z and Millennials keep talking about barely surviving paycheck to paycheck, but look at the lifestyle they're actually living. It tells a completely different story. Now, before we go deeper, we need to break down how products even get their worth. Because slapping a price on something and hoping someone buys it isn't how it works. The idea of value actually goes way back to the 1700s and 1800s, especially to Karl Marx and his book called Capital. Marx talked about two different types of value that every product carries, and these two types completely shape what people are willing to pay. The first one is use value. It's pretty straightforward. Use value is all about how useful something is and how well it satisfies a basic human need. Think about a pair of shoes that protect your feet when you walk. The use value of those shoes is simple. They keep your feet safe and comfortable. So when we figure out their worth, we're really asking how much protecting your feet is worth to you. Basically, if something does a job for you, it has use value. Then, there's the second type, exchange value. This one's easier to explain. Exchange value is just the actual price tag something carries in the market, usually measured in cash. If you pay $200 for those shoes or swap a $200 pair of headphones for them, that's the exchange value right there. It doesn't really connect to how useful the thing actually is. It's just about what the market says it's worth or what people are ready to pay for it right now. Fast forward to the 1960s, and economists came up with another way to measure value. They called it functional value, which basically means how well a product actually performs the job it's supposed to do. So if one shoe protects your feet more than another, you'd say the better one is more important. Pretty simple. These three ideas about value all make sense. They're practical and logical. The core message is the same. The better something serves your actual needs, the more valuable it becomes. But then came the 1970s, and a French thinker named Jean Baudrillard flipped the whole thing on its head. He claimed that in modern capitalism, buying stuff isn't really about usefulness or market price anymore. It's about symbols and what owning something says about who you are. Take Dr. Martens boots, for example. They started out as purely functional footwear. The brand was born in post-war Germany in 1947 when Dr. Klaus Martens designed an air-cushioned sole to help injured soldiers walk more comfortably. At first, these boots weren't about fashion at all. They were sold as durable work boots for factory workers, postal employees, and police officers. In the 1960s, production moved to the UK, where they became popular among laborers for their toughness and comfort. But everything changed when youth subcultures adopted them. Punk rockers, skinheads, and alternative movements turned Dr. Martens into symbols of rebellion and identity. By the 1990s and 2000s, the brand had fully crossed into mainstream fashion through clever branding and cultural positioning. Slowly but surely, Dr. Martens moved from construction sites into high-end retail stores and fashion runways. And once that happened, people stopped buying them just for durability. Now they buy them as fashion statement, as symbols of attitude, individuality, and cultural awareness. Wearing Dr. Martens says you're bold, you're expressive, you stand for something. And this shift isn't just about boots. It's the exact same playbook used by luxury watches, premium luggage brands, and even high-end gym memberships. Sure, you could find a cheaper alternative, but joining an exclusive brand ecosystem isn't about function anymore. It's about identity and everything that identity represents. And when you buy into these products and memberships, you're basically buying your way into exclusive circles and signaling that you belong at the top. But here's where it gets interesting. Flexing wealth isn't new. People have been doing it forever. So why is it hitting Gen Z so much harder? Now, if this whole thing sounds crazy, that's because it absolutely is. We're getting played into dropping thousands on designer brands through this sign value mind game, when we could be flipping the script and building something ourselves instead of just consuming. Now let's dive into the numbers. When you look at this chart, a couple things jump out immediately. First off, the stuff we deal with every single day like food, housing, and college tuition have all shot up by over 100%. Meanwhile, things like computers, toys, and TVs have actually gotten cheaper over the last 20 years. This might not be breaking news, but it's the heart of the luxury poverty trap we're watching unfold right now. As the cost of essentials keeps climbing way faster than paychecks, more and more young people are just throwing in the towel on the old school life goals. Owning a home feels like a fantasy. Cars cost a fortune. And having kids? That sounds like financial suicide because you barely scrape by. Meanwhile, inflation keeps eating away at everything while wages barely budge. And that pushes young adults into a live-in-the-moment mindset. In their minds, there's no clear path to affording a house anytime soon. So why not spend the money now? They figure they might as well enjoy what they're earning while they're still young enough to appreciate it. And here's the kicker. The companies selling these products know exactly what's going on. That's why every ad is screaming at you to live for today and treat yourself. You've even got young people who've only been working for like 2 years, taking 6-month breaks for mental health. They call it micro-retirement, or they're dropping thousands on vacations because they feel they've earned it, even though realistically, they haven't built anything yet. Their whole decision-making process is stuck in the present moment with zero thought about their future selves. They're not thinking about the family they might want someday, the grandkids, or the legacy they could leave behind. It's all about instant gratification and feeding whatever craving pops up today. There's zero discipline, and they use high prices as the excuse to not even try. Since a house feels out of reach anyway, why not blow the cash on a luxury trip? At least that's achievable right now. But listen, I'm not dragging all young people here, because honestly, they've been manipulated harder than any generation before them. We're drowning in hyper-targeted marketing that's scientifically designed to crack our brains open and make us buy. Brands today are insanely good at predicting what you'll want, why you'll want it, and exactly how to push you over the edge. And let's be real, resisting that constant pressure takes serious willpower. Yeah, the boomers aren't wrong when they say just don't buy it. But I think they're forgetting how brain development actually impacts young adults and their spending, especially when they're constantly bombarded with terrible influences. And as life gets more and more expensive, brands are getting smarter at making things look affordable so they can keep draining your wallet however they can. In just 24 hours, you're hit with anywhere from 4,000 to 10,000 ads. That's absolutely wild when you stop and think about it. And most of those ads aren't random noise either. They're carefully placed in your social media feed because the algorithm has decided you're the perfect target. I guarantee most of them are pushing some kind of luxury, high-end, expensive-looking product, even if the actual quality is garbage. Everything gets labeled as luxury now because luxury moves product. Every apartment complex going up in your neighborhood claims to be the newest luxury living experience. Every clothing brand is selling luxury athleisure, luxury work clothes, or timeless luxury essentials. But when literally everything is called luxury, does anything really qualify as luxury anymore? And does slapping that label on something give these brands permission to charge insane luxury prices for items that absolutely don't deserve it? Well, this brings us right back to that sign value concept. If brands can convince you that the real value comes from how people see you when you own it, then the actual quality or usefulness stops mattering. And as young people search for more ways to spend, brands have gotten incredibly creative in how they sell you on those high price tags. Because instead of promoting ownership, we're drowning in options to lease, rent, or subscribe to everything. Just think about it for a second. People used to buy their phones outright with cash or purchase DVDs to watch movies at home. Just think about it for a second. Now everything comes with a monthly bill attached. You lease your car, you subscribe to Apple TV, and you pay for monthly meal kits. We're hemorrhaging hundreds of dollars every single month on stuff we used to just buy one time and be done with. And when you bought something once, you actually thought hard about that decision. Look at cars again, as a perfect example. If you were about to drop $50,000 in actual cash on a brand new car, you'd probably think long and hard about whether it's the smart move. But when someone pitches you a $650 monthly lease payment, the big picture just vanishes. And that's rewired our brains to view everything through a monthly payment lens instead of looking at the total cost, which makes it way easier to overspend on stupid stuff because you don't feel the sting right away. To make things even worse, credit cards and buy now pay later schemes give you even more ways to grab the reward today and shove the pain off until tomorrow. And this endless cycle of spending without actually owning anything creates constant cash bleeding that stops you from building any real equity in your finances. But it also leads to the most brutal part of the luxury poverty trap. A part that's quietly wrecking the lives of people who think they're too smart to fall for it. We've got a decent income of about $185,000 to $190,000 a year, but it feels like at the end of the month, we just have nothing left. This right here is one of the biggest crises in our society today. There are tons of people pulling in what should be solid money who feel like they're drowning and barely making it. You'll sometimes hear them called Henrys, which stands for high earners not rich yet. Basically, they're stuck in no man's land. They make too much to be considered broke or financially unstable, but they're not making enough yet to have true financial freedom where they can spend without worrying about consequences. So they're trapped grinding nonstop, waiting for the next promotion or bonus to hit their account. And there's zero boundary between their work life and personal life, which usually forces them to rack up debt just to keep up appearances. But because their paycheck shows a big number, they convince themselves they should be able to afford all these little luxuries. And the brands and marketing machines exploit that mindset ruthlessly. When luxury brands first exploded onto the scene, they couldn't care less about regular people. In fact, sales associates were literally instructed to ignore you if they knew you weren't a VIP customer, or they'd straight up refuse to let you in the store. At first, they did this to filter out window shoppers, but what they discovered was that this exclusivity actually made broke people want to buy even more desperately. There's even a name for it, the pretty woman effect. Researchers at the University of British Columbia found that when a sales associate treats customers with a little bit of coldness or attitude, it actually increases the chances they'll buy a designer product. Now, this only works in stores people genuinely aspire to shop at someday. So the attitude you get from the cashier at Walmart isn't some brilliant sales strategy to make you spend more. But when it happens at a luxury store like Rolex or Gucci, that snobbiness from the sales associate triggers something deep. It makes customers feel like they're back in high school. And what's the number one thing high schoolers obsess over? Being popular and fitting in. So when a sales associate looks down on you, most people instinctively want to buy the expensive item just to prove they belong in that store and can afford it, even when they absolutely cannot. But real wealth isn't about what you wear or what you flash around. It's about the freedom you have in your life. And through this luxury poverty trap, Gen Z has been caught in this fake illusion of freedom and self-expression while they're actually torching their future, all for the sake of living in the now. That said, it's not a lost cause. Every generation at some point has faced a major wealth shift or economic crash. And honestly, it's never been easier to upgrade your skills and boost your income than it is right now. If you're living in this trap, remember, build your character, not just your closet. Invest in yourself, not just your image.